Hi guys, so I told you I'd be better about making videos, so I am. Apologies, I just woke up about almost 2 hours ago now, but I still have not gotten myself together because I woke up, did some yoga, had breakfast, and jumped right into work because I had a lot of work today. But actually one of my classes was canceled, so it was kind of nice because now I have more time to get stuff done. Anyway, so I thought I would make a quick video about my experience yesterday, which was kind of fun. So as I mentioned in some of my previous videos, I work for a program called Access, which is under the United States Embassy, and it's designed to bring students from level A1 to B2 in 2 years. But this particular branch is focused on tourism. And so what we did yesterday is I'm in Valle del Elqui, or Elqui Valley, which is basically the star or sky capital of the world. It has been called because it has some of the clearest skies ever, which is why it's so touristy. And so there's a lot of observatories and whatnot. And so there's some touristy ones and some more scientific ones. And yesterday we took a trip to see a more scientific one called Observatory Tololo. And the school where I work at is from the school to the bottom of the hill, the big hill or mountain really, where the observatory is at, it's about half an hour. So we drove on the highway, like the back road highway, to the base of the hill. And from the bottom all the way up to the top, it was probably at least an hour because it's all like dirt road and it's pretty steep. And we were in this like bus, right, that does not have very good ventilation. The windows are really small. There were a lot of us, so there weren't even enough seats for all of us. So like me and one of the other teachers were like standing in the middle of the aisles, right, leaning against the seats, which happens a lot here in Chile and outside of US. If there's no spots on the bus, you just have to stand. Not entirely the safest, but whatever. Just pray. So on the way up, it was a gorgeous drive because we were literally driving like in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. It was so cool. I'm going to try and post some videos and photos later. But yeah, and we were going up really, really high. I don't know how many feet it is because they do not use feet here. They use meters. So we went up probably close to 1,000 meters, though, which is a lot. I know that's a lot of feet. I just don't know how many it is. You're going to have to look that up. But yeah, so it was a steep incline. And the whole time, the bus driver was trying to drive really slow, but he was still, like, because it was just so dusty, it was, like, kicking up a lot of dust. So the dust is, like, coming in the windows and everything. And, like, halfway through, like, half an hour into the drive, all of a sudden just way more dust started coming in, and I think it had been accumulating, and so like the rest of the way up we were all like like dying of heat, dying of dust inhalation, like all these things. It was interesting. But yeah, it was an interesting journey. But then once we really started getting towards the top, it all of a sudden just like opened up and you could see like over all of these mountains. And it was beautiful. And so we finally got to the top, and it was so fascinating. There were a couple there's a couple telescopes up there. So like each telescope was in like a different little mini observatory. And these telescopes are freaking huge. It was so cool. So the guy like gave us a tour and we got to see 2 of the different telescopes and go in and see like just a bunch of different little things too. Like they had a little mirror display with the refracted light, right, where you can see all the different colors and stuff, and he was explaining how these telescopes use mirrors and whatnot. And in the first telescope that we were at, it was the one that was a little bit smaller, but it had like, so when you go in, the telescope's in the middle, and then it's like a dome, right? So he opened and closed the dome while we were there to show us like how they open it up and use it at night essentially. And the dome was so loud, and it was really cool because you like climb up these stairs, so you're on like a balcony, right, that goes around the edge, and so you're right by the dome that's moving, and it feels like you're moving, you know, kind of, and it was really cool. But yeah, so that was pretty sweet. So yeah, and then he was explaining how we got to go behind the scenes too and like look at their computers and see. He was showing us like here's what the star maps look like and all this kind of stuff. It was really cool. And actually, I didn't know this, but Observatory Tololo has a sister observatory in Tucson, Arizona. Tucson, Arizona in the U.S. So so basically like, at these observatories, there's not a steady team of scientists. They like come and go based on projects, which is really interesting. So it's not like the same scientists working at the observatory the whole time, which is pretty cool. And it's also very tricky sometimes because, like, for the most part, so the reason why it's like the star capital of the world here is because there are a lot of clear skies here in this region. But at the same time, it can be very difficult sometimes to get a really good, clear picture. So, like, one of the reasons why Observatory Tololo is not as touristy is because if they open it up at night for people to come and see, and it's a clear night, that's one night that a scientist loses to look at the sky, and that can cost them a lot for their project. So that's why this observatory is more scientific, and they have like tours during the day usually, but not really at night. Whereas I went to another touristy observatory like weeks ago on my own with like a tourism group, and that one was more for like tourists. Like we could actually look through the telescope, and I got to see like planets and the moon and Jupiter and all that. It was really cool. But this one is not as touristy. So yeah, it's interesting because like sometimes like the scientists will come to look at night at the sky, and it ends up being cloudy, and they just lose that night. You know, they can't really do anything about it. So it's interesting. It's like very it's not very consistent, or it's not, you know, you can kind of sort of plan, but sometimes you just lose a night if it becomes cloudy or something. So it was kind of interesting. So yeah, and then these observatories are literally like sitting on top of these like huge hills. So like it's literally like you can like walk around this observatory, and you're like on the edge of this huge cliff, like this huge hill, and you're looking down over the mountains everywhere, which is why it's like so high, right? And it was just, yeah, it was gorgeous. And the guys showed us another hill, like over there, right? He was like, oh yeah, look at that hill over there. He's like, that's another observatory we're building as well. And you could kind of see like way in the distance another hill that was a little lower, but about the same height. And there were 2 little like buildings over there too, and whatnot. So that was interesting. And then a little further down, you could see like a little mini city and stuff like that. I think that's where like they stay while they are working on site. But yeah, so this drive was really like just in the middle of nowhere. It's crazy. And so on the way back down, the bus, so like on the way up, obviously it's like very inclined. So on the way down, I could hear and I could feel like the bus, like all he was doing was really tapping the brake, release, tapping the brake, release, tapping the brake, release, right? To go down. And so like we were like less than halfway down, I think, like maybe 15, 20 minutes, and all of a sudden in the bus we get this overwhelming smell of like burning rubber, and we're like, what is going on? So we asked the driver, and one of the teachers that was sitting up front, and they were like, okay, we need to pull over. So we pulled over, and we're like telling the students like, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, and then we finally got them all out, and they went to the other side of the road, and we look over and there's like smoke coming out, like just billowing out from this one tire. And so I think there was this cord inside the tire. It might have been like close to the brakes or something that was like burning. And I think it was just because like it's such a steep incline, and it was a bus with lots of people, very heavy and whatnot. And so there was just a lot of friction, and it's like all dirt road too, you know? So it was like a lot of friction, plus it was extremely hot out, right? Like yesterday it was like, it's very, very dry, hot weather here. Very dry, hot weather. So that's something I didn't mention earlier, actually, in my earlier videos, is where I live right now. I live in Valladolid, and it's the beginning of the big desert in Chile. So where I live, the town where I live, literally has almost no cloudy days at all. It's every day like bright blue skies and sun, which is awesome, but it's also very dry, which is something I'm not used to coming from Michigan. So you have to drink a lot of water because it's very, very hot and dry, like almost every single day. So yeah, so the heat and the friction and like the weight of all of us on this big bus, like it just, I think it was like putting too much pressure on the brakes or whatever. And it's a long drive down, you know, it's like an hour. So yeah, so we had to like pull over and waited like 15, 20 minutes, and I saw the guy putting some liquid in there and whatnot. And then we get back on the bus, but we had to leave the door open, the bus door open. And the teachers were all like looking out the window to see if smoke was coming out. And so we stopped a couple times on the way down to double check it, make sure it wasn't burning again. And we had to go really slow, and we made it. But we were actually like, the first time we stopped, we couldn't call anybody because none of us had signal. So we couldn't like call anyone to like, you know, another bus or something to come. So it was funny. The students were all like, we're gonna die, you know, freaking out. It's funny. But yeah, so we made it back and it was great. But it was like, I mean, from leaving the school to getting back, it was a good like 6-hour trip. Because of how far away it was and everything like that. But it was really, really cool. It was really cool to see an actual like scientific observatory, and really cool to drive up there because it was like literally, it was really high and just like in the middle of like all of the mountains in the Valle, and it was just gorgeous. It was so gorgeous. So yeah, so that was my experience yesterday, doing a field trip with Access, which was really, really fun. So yeah, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful week. I'm going to get back to lesson planning for my adult private classes that I'm doing here in Valladolid with tourism professionals. I'm giving adult classes to a lot of people who work in tourism here. So I will get back to that now, but I just wanted to take a short break to let you guys know about my fun adventure yesterday. And if you have any questions or anything, just let me know. And for I think my Chilean dad, Papa Luis, asked me to do these videos in Spanish. So I'm going to try adding some Spanish into these videos as well, even though most of you don't know it. But we'll see. We'll try and do some translating. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. I'm going to try. So yeah. All right. Have a good week, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.